And we are live. So, welcome to episode 206 of An American Werewolf in New Jersey. I am the American Werewolf. In the house tonight, we've got professional wrestling referee Jay King with close to, if you have not surpassed already, 1,200 matches to your name.
About 5 matches left.
5 matches away, and I'm sure you will accomplish that before the end of the calendar year.
I have 3 shows in the next 2 weeks, so I'll be over.
Okay, he's going to be over. Jay's going to be over, and that's always good to hear. And we've got another lifelong wrestling fan here with us and a regular on the show. We've got Eric from Hey Internet, Eric here. So thanks, fellas, for joining me on this impromptu kind of stream.
Oh yeah, my pleasure, dude.
Yeah, so here we were, all of us last night, watching Survivor Series War Games, and I was texting back and forth with Eric about various matches and, so on and so forth. And, of course, we knew about the return of Randy Orton. We knew that, or that was the rumor, that he was promised to come back by Cody Rhodes. So he will be back as the 5th member of the War Games team. But the big rumor, there was this rumor that was not being addressed by anyone in the WWE, and the way that Randy's return was the return of CM Punk. And CM Punk there in Chicago, his hometown, his home base. For me, I was thinking if it was going to happen at all, it was going to happen there. Because otherwise there wasn't a big enough pay-per-view in the lineup unless you waited all the way until WrestleMania, and they weren't going to bring him back to start at WrestleMania. There's as they say, the road to WrestleMania. It becomes a buildup as they establish the storylines and the feuds and the potential matches, so on and so forth. So if it was going to happen, it was going to happen last night. And then we got to the end of the pay-per-view, and we saw Randy Orton come out, and it was great to see Randy. Hadn't seen him in like 18 months. He had been gone. He looked big as hell.
Yeah, he looked
huge. And seemed to didn't seem to have too much ring rust. Although, being the last man there, he didn't have to do much for an extended period of time, so that makes sense. So the match ends, and by and large, am I looking at it wrong? Did everybody not seem, the crowd, by this I mean the crowd, seemed pretty satisfied with what had happened?
I put a tweet out, I think you saw it, Mike, where I said, how many of these wrestling fans, like, no matter how good Survivor Series was, would still kind of crap on it if Punk didn't show up? I was surprised because they really let it go. Like, we had the copyright at the bottom and everything. I think the fans were still happy. I'm not saying they forgot about Punk, but in that heat of the moment with the Randy Orton return and his team winning, I don't really think they cared. I think they were going home happy regardless.
Yeah, I was with a couple of friends watching it last night, and one guy kept saying, "Oh, CM Punk, he's got to come out here," and "Oh no, he's going to come out here," and and then it's like we've got an extra 13 minutes before the end of the hour. They've got to do something. They just can't end the match and have 13 minutes of dead air. So then when CM Punk came out, it worked. So,
see, what ended up happening for me was that I thought it was a good pay-per-view. I thought it was a pretty good pay-per-view. I'd say personally for me, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a 7. The catch with me was that I thought the first match was the best match, the Ladies War Games match with Io Sky and Charlotte Flair. I thought that was the absolute best match of the entire pay-per-view. So other matches, while they were good, and Lord knows I need my monthly dose of Rhea Ripley.
Yep, me too.
And just that spectacular ass that she has on the back and the legs and just like everything. I'm not going to make it as a saint. It ain't going to happen. I try to do no harm, but I ain't going to make it as a saint either. So, we got that. I thought that the match. What is that?
That's a truck going down in front of my house.
Okay. All right.
They're showing their appreciation for Rhea Ripley as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, all right. It's either that or the good Lord was coming from me. I'm like, geez, I'm doing my best. Yes, Lord, here I am. All right. So, I thought the Gunther match was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good, actually. I thought the Miz put on a good match. He got his ass beat.
Gunther just reminds me of like Killer Kowalski. He's got that old school look to him.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't have a muscular build. He's almost got like a gut. But he's just so stiff.
He's like the Crusher or Dick the Bruiser. They're not muscle men, but they're like the first person you'd want to avoid in a bar fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Dick Slater or something like that. You're just like, Jesus Christ, not that fucking good. Eric and I have been talking for a long time about a potential feud between him and Brock. I think he gets smoked, but it'd be just such a great feud because they're just both so fucking stiff. But I think just in terms of tools, Brock would fucking kill him. Like he'd kill anybody back there pretty much. But we get to the end of the pay-per-view and everybody seems satisfied. I was happy to see Randy. I liked the RKO. It was all good. And we're going to play this clip from the pay-per-view, which are like the last 2.5 minutes of it. And for me, what set the tone was the crowd reaction, because we had a crowd reaction, like we said, that seemed satisfied with the ending. And then it happened. And it got louder than I had heard it the entire night. And what might be the biggest pop I've ever heard in my life.
Yep.
Here we go.
Fans right there at the back of the crowd, they couldn't see shit. And look, they're the ones who get to hug them.
Yeah. If anything, I felt bad a bit for Randy Orton because his reappearance just was forgotten about.
Yeah, that's a big thing I was thinking. They build up the Randy's coming back, and he's not here, he's here, and then he gets that pop, and then everybody's probably forgot he even showed up last night.
Yeah, nobody's talking about Randy Orton. Absolutely no one.
But I think as long as Randy's been in the business or been around it with his dad and grandpa, I think he still had it in the back of his head. Even if Punk didn't show up, there's going to be a lot of people chanting for Punk, and then they did during the match. So I think he probably mentally prepared himself for something like that to happen.
The catch of it is that, and I agree with you, Eric, because I think Randy's a professional. But the catch of it is that we find out later that absolutely nobody knew about it. Like Triple H managed to keep it from everyone.
Yeah.
So there's some question as to whether the main eventers knew. They didn't seem to. That was my impression. They had some other shots, people showing the angles from the wrestlers. Nobody looked particularly thrilled to see him. Some people were just kind of like, okay, here we are again. But from my perspective, and Jay, why don't you, maybe you can help us with this. It seemed that his reappearance, his reemergence, pushed everybody back 2 steps. All these main eventers.
Yeah, I mean, there was a big discussion on the local wrestlers webpage for the one group I work with, and the young boys really were so excited that he was back and everything, and then the veterans were like, oh, he's good, but he's sort of a troublemaker in the locker room, and it's going to cause a lot of shit with him. But then they're like, but the management is going at what is good for the money, not what's good for business. Not what's good for the locker room is good for business. So there was this mixed feeling from the local wrestlers about him coming back. And I'm sure the other wrestlers are thinking, well, now I've worked my way up, and unless I get a program with him, where am I going to be at this point?
I had seen a reaction from Stevie Richards from his YouTube channel, and he said, from people that are older than him in the business, the much older heads, the Shane Douglases, a couple other names he dropped, people that he considers to be legends. He says, I do not consider myself to be a legend, these sorts of things. He said the way that it was explained to him in the business is that you get in, you try to make as much money as you can, and to remain as injury-free as you can. Mm-hmm. If you can do those things and get out without any life-altering injuries, that is considered a success. And he said in that respect, he wishes the absolute best for him. He thinks that it's good for business, just like Jay said. And yeah, I mean, WWE, before this happened, WWE was sort of in mixed straits. And I've had mixed reviews coming back from the last WrestleMania on, that it looked overproduced. It looked overscripted. It looked flabby. Too many lights and commercials. And this feels like genuine heat. And I like that. Maybe I'm just old, and I like a little, guys mixing it, like the locker room mixing it up a little bit. I like it. I think it's a good thing. Hold on a second. We got some comments. We got Marty over there in Dublin. Hey, what's happening, man? Saying pimpin' tweet. Ahoy. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Marty, do you want to jump in? I'll DM you the link if you want. Not a problem. You're always welcome in here. Wish I had hopped on earlier. Yeah, man. And Adam Campbell McKenzie, thank you for stopping in on the show. And he says, hi, from Wales. Okay, in the UK. Cool. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. AEW sack CM Punk. Yeah. The issue with Punk is that he has a mixed record. It's a controversial record. He's not a get-along kind of guy. And from my understanding, he hadn't been in the WWE in 9 years. Controversy there, trouble, in the back room, in the back office. He made a shit ton of money, though. He goes on like some sort of Talking Heads program that they had, some sort of commentary program, and only lasts 3 episodes. I think they said he made like $1 million per episode. So again, he gets out making a shit ton of money. Goes to AEW for a period of time. Makes more money, but controversy again, and then it ends almost violently. And I want to ask Jay about this. And so, like Adam says, he gets dropped from AEW, and then this was a couple of months ago. The rumors start automatically. When's he coming back to WWE? Because now you have a kind of competition between WWE and AEW.
Yep.
Which I think is good for business. I think it's good for business. I want to see the indie promotions grow so that we have some, support and these other promotions growing up, so people don't have to just choose between two things on a Friday night or a Saturday night or whatever, or a Monday night or whatever. But Jay, let me ask you this. I would assume that actual violence in the back locker room is a rarity.
It generally is that. I mean, if you have people that are causing problems, they're generally kicked out of the locker room pretty quick. We've got one guy that he's been kicked out, I think 6 times. That he takes a year or 2 off, and they say, well, let's give him a try, and he comes back and causes more shit. I mean, we had off-duty cops as security there, and he made a comment calling them pigs. So I'm like, well, and the family-friendly show he was saying stuff. So, but the once in a while it's usually more in the ring where somebody hits somebody a little too hard or does something, and then there's a little scuffle there, and then they go back into it. But actual locker room, the guys I haven't seen it, you hear about it with some of the bigger name, WWE guys, but it's if they're causing problems, they're out pretty quick.
I would imagine most people are getting their violence out in the ring. And so probably when you're finished, you just want to go home, get a burger, get a beer, get laid, whatever it is, all 3, because you've gotten it all out. You just took a couple of chair shots. You got German suplex 3 times. I got it out for today. I'm good.
I worked one match where there was a new guy that asked if he could call the match while they were in there. And he was in the corner. He told the guy, give me a chop. So the guy said, want to do it. And the guy ducked, and he took the chop right in his nose.
Ooh.
And he was pissed, blood over the place after he says, "What were you doing? I told you to give me a shot." He wanted him to punch, and he was going to duck underneath it. And the guy said, "You said chop." He said, "No." And I said, "Yeah, I was standing there. You screwed up." So, I mean, he wanted to kill this guy, but it's like, you called the wrong move, dude. So sometimes you get mistakes like that, and you just got to work it out.
Well, I mean, that's what happened with Punk, which, again, you said probably does happen at the higher levels because you probably have a lot more inflated egos. Probably a lot of fucking ego in the WWE locker room. Everybody thinking that they want to be, the world heavyweight champion, or scrambling for Vince's attention, or now Triple H's attention. I saw this interview with Francine. She's like, that's how it is back there. Like, everybody's constantly scrambling for their individual angle and some alone time with the top people. And she was just like, that wasn't necessarily what I did. I dressed a certain way, but that wasn't necessarily who I was. So I wasn't going to like oil myself up and go into Vince's office. Right. Let me show you what I can do. That was more her approach. And so, it didn't work out very well. Hold on a second. Is it true Ronda's going to AEW? She's in Ring of Honor now, isn't she?
Last I think she made one appearance for AEW, or she's going to, but yeah, last I heard she's in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, Ring of Honor. Yeah, Randy Orton. Randy's come back.
Yep.
Why some people use their real name? Why not?
Because that way no one can copyright it and you could use it wherever you want.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Here's the one thing though that I've always think. I've been following like indie wrestling since like the 90s, you know what I mean? And Punk has been everywhere, from Ring of Honor, IWA Mid-South, and so on and so forth. I've heard he's always been a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? He's always been a pain in the ass. But my thing is, if he was such a pain in the ass in AEW, it's also on Tony Khan for allowing it to happen. You know what I mean? Regardless of how much money Punk was bringing into the company or ratings or what have you, Tony Khan allowing him to get away with it, he's just as at fault as Punk would be. And the thing is, he's not the only one getting in fights too. You know what I mean? Just because he's acting unprofessional doesn't mean the other ones have to act just as unprofessional as him.
Yeah, I was reading something today from Cauliflower Alley, their newsletter. We're talking about Punk because they gave him an award last year. And they said that he was working for Harley Race at a show. And afterwards, Harley got 12 shots for everybody that was there. And they all, slammed it down except for Punk because he's got that clean image. And they're all staring at him. And he went over and got 12 shots of milk. And he said they were all staring at him, and Harley picked up and he drank, and everybody else like, well, if Harley can do it, we can do it. Yeah. Like, we know he's trouble, but he did a good show, so let's just work with him and see what we can get out of him. So
I think that this is one of the biggest things that's happened there in a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that the road to WrestleMania will begin 2 months early. Usually starts around January.
Yeah, Royal Rumble.
Instead we've started in November. Where do you think this is going to go? I put up a poll earlier. It looks like they're setting up with Rollins. Personally, I don't like Rollins. I think he's a boring wrestler. I think he's one of the most overrated talents out there.
And that's another thing, I don't mean to cut you off. A lot of people are shitting on Punk. Rollins, I've heard, is an asshole too. You know what I mean? He's no saint, from what I've heard and read like over the years. And same with Randy Orton. When Randy Orton was younger, he was, crapping in people's bags and, doing the same stuff that, people did in the 90s. So, a lot of these veterans now are just as bad, if not worse, with Punk. They've just changed over time. And if Randy of all people, like Undertaker once almost beat the shit out of him because of how immature he was. So if Randy of all people can change over time, you got to kind of give Punk the benefit of the doubt.
I have to say, Randy is from St. Louis, and I know his dad, and Randy is still an asshole. So.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Hold on a second. I'm just sending Marty the link. DM me. Hopefully he'll join us. I think that's what people will be most, or the locker room, if there is legitimate heat, is that right now he's bigger than everybody. Like I said, Randy Orton just came back after 18 months, forgotten about.
Yep.
Seth Rollins with his stupid stop kick.
Yeah.
Like, who really cares? I'm wondering if he gets the push all the way, because I have to assume that Triple H has a plan. I haven't always been the biggest Triple H fan. But if there's a plan to get him all the way to WrestleMania against Roman, or is this going to be a Seth Rollins kind of heat? Because I don't like. Is that too unstable?
Is ready.
I see. I see WrestleMania being not Raymond Reigns. I see Punk versus Rollins to me.
You think it's Punk versus Rollins?
I think it'll be drawn more to that real feud because, like, Rollins has never shared the fact, that he hates Punk. Like, he calls him Philly Brooks. You know what I mean? Stuff like that, Philly Phil. And I think, because I don't know if you've seen it. There's clips of Rollins flipping everybody off and this and that. Which, he's being held back by Michael Cole. So take that how you will. But Punk literally is just waving at him and smiling. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be a bigger draw at WrestleMania. So maybe Punk's going to win the Rumble. Rollins comes out and screws him over type of thing. And then that could set up their match. And then Roman could do his own thing against whoever. Because I know they also want Roman to fight The Rock at WrestleMania. So I think the better choice, what would bring in more money, is when you have two guys that legitimately don't like each other. And fans are smart nowadays. They know they don't like each other.
Oh,
I think that would be a main event over anything Roman's involved in.
Is anybody interested in seeing Roman Reigns wrestle The Rock? The Rock is 54.
No.
No. I think they said he's defended the title I don't know. It's like a ridiculously low number of times. Like they compared the Hogan number of defenses over those days, and it's not even close. And you're like, what are they doing?
The thing is, go ahead, Jay.
Let's say, what's the point? I mean, are they going to let The Rock win, and then is he going to stay around for a while, or is it you don't want to see The Rock lose because he's a fan favorite? So what's really the point of that match? Where is it going to go?
I don't know. That's why I anything Roman does, I'm just by default not interested in, because this is another example of it's a perfect example actually of what I mean about when I criticize the WWE for being overproduced. If I see, Roman Reigns coming out to defend the title, I can turn it off.
Yeah.
Like the whole LA Knight thing. Did anybody really think that LA Knight was going to beat Roman Reigns last month?
No.
What an absolute waste of a main event. There's no suspension of disbelief whatsoever. It's just, I don't even know what you would call it. It's just an absolute waste. This is what I mean. I mean, this seems to, it's like somebody took a big eraser and just erased a bunch of shit, and now it has to be rewritten a little bit. And so you might get some originality. You might get some flair. You might get some spice. I hope that they do this right. I hope that this doesn't implode.
I could see, this is how I could see it, because they still got the two titles, right? You got Seth as one champion, you got Roman as the other. I could see Seth coming out and screwing CM Punk for his title shot by winning the Rumble. And then that could cause either Randy Orton or Cody Rhodes to win the Rumble. They would go against Roman. And then now say Punk's he was one of the last two in the ring. That way he can challenge Seth Rollins or something like that. That's how they could set up their feud. So there's still both two main event title matches, because I'm sure it's going to be that double night thing that they've been doing for the last couple of years.
I mean, LA Knight is just gone. I mean, did you even see him last night?
No.
He's just absolutely gone.
No.
So, I mean, these guys will be back on Monday, Randy and CM Punk. I'm curious. I'm probably going to do the rare thing and make a Monday night trip over to my dad's place, because I don't have everything I do operates off streaming services. I have an Amazon Fire Stick. So there is no way to watch it live on a streaming service. You can only watch it, what is it, USA or whatever it's on Monday. So I got to see what's going on, but I think this is, because it's unscripted, it's one of the best things that's happened to wrestling, to WWE in a while.
Yeah, it's got people talking, whether it's positive or negative. Because you texted me this morning just talking about how the X feed has just blown up. You know what I mean? And it's 50-50. So many people are happy, and so many people are pissed that he's come back.
And I think there's a pool out there on how long till Punk pipe bombs something and gets kicked out again. Yeah, and then where does he go?
Well, I guarantee you this. I bet you Triple H was behind it. Now that they have that merger with that company with UFC, I guarantee there was a lot of stuff put in that contract to make sure Punk watches himself as well. Because Triple H is no dummy. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah. And supposedly they met for quite a while, spoke face to face for about an hour, probably laying out what the rules are, seeing where Punk's head is at, so on and so forth.
And we were talking about the other wrestlers, like, well, you couldn't make it in UFC, so how can you make it back here? You can't be a real fighter.
Right.
So how can you come back here and have any credibility?
What's up, man?
Hey, Marty.
Hi, yeah, guys. The thing I wanted to ask, and I've been out of the loop for a while with wrestling. So, CM Punk's pipe bomb, was that all bullshit? Was that all fucking staged? Is this some elaborate non-con?
Was it a work?
I think it was about 50-50 because if you remember, they could have cut him off at any time with that microphone. So I think it was about 50-50. There's a lot of truth to it, but if Vince or Triple H got pissed off early, they would have gotten rid of it. So I think it's about 50-50, like a work shoot is what they call it.
Jay, what do you think?
I was also talking with so sorry again for I'll just be brief. I was chatting to another friend of mine, Trenchy, and he was saying that there is still a bit of animosity among some of the other wrestlers backstage for real, or like how is Triple H going to handle that, or how is that going to pan out?
Well, I personally think they know who signs their fucking checks. So if they want to continue to be a name, because all it takes is one wrong move and you're the opening match.
Yeah, then you're on your way to working for Tony Khan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you are. I mean, it's unfortunate because I feel like I like AEW. I have nothing against AEW, but I feel that the direction that they're moving in is, they're highlighting their banner with a lot of old heads. Sting is 64, bringing back
Edge,
Flair. Flair is 74. Edge. They need some young people, like somebody and the whole thing with Punk just blew up. It's a great opportunity, but he's a very volatile character. And so, you have to wonder, coming so hot off the issue with AEW, I hope that it's still fresh in his mind because I want this to work. As much as I want the independent promotions to go, that doesn't necessarily mean I want anybody else to tank. I just want the other promotions to rise so we have a good variety of wrestling to choose from.
Well, a good promotion figures out where they want to be in 6 months, and then they work storylines backwards. I think right now they've got 2 storylines, one with CM Punk, and then if he implodes, we jump over to the Earth 2 and start there.
I have a distinct feeling that, like, if it implodes with Punk, me personally, it will just go back to being another flabby, overproduced, kind of thing, and I won't have any interest except to see Rhea Ripley once a month. And that'll be about it. Like I said, like that first War Games match was the best one. Bayley, Bianca. I'm not necessarily a Bianca fan. Io Sky. All those ladies up there were just doing it. And so for me, that took a little bit out of the pay-per-view because every other match sort of fell below that. So like, you blow your wad early and then there's not much else, afterwards, although those matches were okay. But now, I feel like I have something to look forward to. And, that's a good thing. I miss those days. Like the heat between, between Bischoff and Flair. the heat between Vince and Stone Cold, or just about everybody, Shane and just about everybody, Stephanie and just about everybody, Triple H and just about everybody, Russo, and just about everybody back then.
Yeah, it takes you got to take a little bit of real life, and it'll add that little spark. Because, like I said, now a lot of people are upset because everyone knows the business now. Because of the internet and the screw job in Montreal, all that stuff. But it's also a good thing when you do know, CM Punk and Seth Rollins fucking hate each other. Well, is it going to be a work? Is it going to be a shoot? Is someone going to sneak a sucker punch in there? Is CM Punk going to say something about Seth Rollins, when he shouldn't have? Kind of like when Brett and Shawn were going at it. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing that I'm looking forward to. I'm just looking for a higher standard of wrestling, because it looks like everybody in WWE trains in the same, like they all come from the same training camp.
Mm-hmm.
It just does. And so I'm like, okay, all the matches kind of look alike, kind of, sort of. It'll just be better to have somebody who's not, cut from that, cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Again, guys, may I ask a very noobish question? And it's kind of referencing to what Mike's saying. Was AEW a reputable threat to the WWE in that they're kind of going against the grain, or was it just a blip that kind of gave the McMahons and Triple H maybe one or two beads of sweat, and then it was like, it's no real threat?
I don't watch AEW, but I think the problem with them is they don't have a game plan. You know what I mean? They get these big names. Like, it was a big deal when they brought Edge over, when they brought Sting over, and then the guys can, and the guys, Jericho, and they can perform. The problem is, it's just like they have this, this idea, and then suddenly it just kind of shits the bed, and then they have no idea where to go moving forward. They're trying to get everyone talking about them all at once, but then they don't realize, we still need to keep this ball rolling 2 months later.
It's like the old WCW when they brought in, the New World Order and all, kept bringing in more and more guys, and then did nothing with them.
Yeah.
There's no plan.
So you guys think it's just going to be a blip on the radar, and it's going to be gone as fast as it comes?
I don't think so. I think AEW and Tony Khan, as goofy as Khan is, I think he's determined to make his company number one. Whether he does it or not, I think he's got that determination to do so, or fail miserably. But I don't see him stopping anytime soon.
I think the difference between AEW and other promotions who might, like, say, for example, OVW. No disrespect to OVW. But Tony Khan has almost an unlimited revenue stream. Like, they have finances. And that, at the end of the day, I think is the big concern for Vince, or, for Endeavor now that, that they sold to, and that they have someone who has the money to compete. Not indefinitely necessarily, but long enough that if they manage to ever, like, if Tony Khan ever, because he's very new to this, I think he's a little more than a fan.
Right.
And I remember Kevin Nash saying, and I think the last time we did a show together, we were talking about this when we were right around the time Punk had left. Kevin Nash said that he needed somebody like a heater in the locker room to keep things organized, because he doesn't know enough. And the other wrestlers don't listen to him. Much like we saw in wrestlers. You had that one guy who was the cash guy, but everybody went to Al Snow, and they disrespected that guy until he had a seizure. He just got so frustrated, he literally had an epileptic, like a small seizure in the middle of the documentary. And so, I think Tony Khan, he needs to have somebody there that's like embedded, and not going anywhere, who can guide him together, and that the wrestlers will listen to. And I think I use
definitely someone
like an Undertaker. Like the Undertaker, or someone that just so many new wrestlers would come in, and the Undertaker would be kind of the linchpin. Now, I'm not saying someone is charismatic, but I get what you're saying, Mike. Kind of, who would you say is the kind of figurehead or flagship wrestler for AEW?
I would say it would be Sting.
Most likely Sting, but he's already announced next year he's done.
But Sting would be a person you could put in the office. Like Sting would be somebody like. Go ahead.
Sorry, Mike. I like the fact they're scooping up all the fucking everyone that the WWE didn't want. The cute little British English chick who went fucking riding all the other dudes with the her fucking winning belt. The what's her name?
Yeah. Paige.
Paige. Yeah.
Okay,
It's like,
Well,
like,
if the thing is, if they have something for them to do, she's doing really well. She's doing a hell of a lot better than she was in WWE. Look at Christian. Christian is like one of the big names now because they're letting him be the asshole heel he can be. You know what I mean? And he's making, like, his interviews are fantastic, and the guy can still go. He was going nowhere in WWE at the time.
Yeah, and I think that will be the key. If somebody like a Sting just retires and then becomes like that permanent fixture in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, you get some skinny little guy, Indian or whatever he is, trying to tell these big 300-pound guys, what to do. And they're just looking at him like, fuck you, buddy. There's too much testosterone for one. There's too much enhanced testosterone for another. It's a violent sport. And you got some pencil neck, billionaire trying to tell you, and you're just like, I'm not fucking listening to you. But you get somebody in there, like Nash was saying, like a Kevin Nash.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kevin Nash has got 30 years experience. He's one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, you got to bring in a veteran, a well-respected veteran.
Yeah, and then let them help you get the project rolling. And if Tony Khan ever gets his feet underneath of him, I think AEW, definitely has what it takes to compete. And other wrestlers who may want to jump because, like an LA Knight, who's constantly going to be sidetracked because The Rock can come back when he wants to, because Roman Reigns never wants to give up the belt, because Punk can come back and, like, my push just disappears, can go somewhere else, or maybe, God willing, an OVW rises up, and something like that. But there can be other places to go. I don't think it's a flash in the pan, but they've got to get their shit together.
Right.
I know that's not the short answer, Marty, but
No. And I apologize. I probably derailed the course of your conversation. You were
no, not at all. Marty, did you watch it last night?
Unfortunately, I didn't. I'm going to fucking check it out. I'm going to check it out. I'll see if I can find it somewhere out in the wild, and I'll watch it there. But no, I was just like, as Eric said, it's 50-50. Mm-hmm. So it was 50% theatrical, 50% fuck you, you screwed me. Was it the day of his wedding? He sent him the fucking the firing line.
Yes, he sent a FedEx on the day he was getting married, and of course Vince says, that was pure coincidence, bullshit.
Yeah, nothing's a coincidence with that motherfucker. Yeah. I've heard that. I heard he's a bully.
Vince is, yeah.
If he figures out that he can push you around, then he will. He'll push you around and just,
He's looking rough as shit. I saw him with The Undertaker. Was it in Dubai? With Tyson. The dude's looking fucking, I mean, boot leather rough.
Well, the guy's almost 80. He's almost 80.
He walks with a cane now. Yeah.
Yeah. He's 80. We should all be so lucky to be going to Abu Dhabi when we're 80 with The Undertaker, or, our age equivalent when it's our time. So I can't get on him for being old, because that's just what he is. It's just old age.
Mm-hmm. Hey, the older you get, the less old it is.
That's exactly right. That's right. Shit, man. I mean, exciting things are happening in the WWE. There's always something exciting happening in wrestling. There always is. You just have to know where to look, and Eric has taught me that. But yeah, I mean, who would have thunk it?
I honestly, I said it to my friends earlier. I said, people didn't think Punk could come back. Look at everyone that's come back thanks to Triple H. He brought back the Ultimate Warrior of all people. He got Bruno to come back and do some stuff for them and be in their Hall of Fame. Bret Hart, of all people, came back to the WWE after the whole Montreal stuff. Anybody and everybody can make it back. Piper, he made it back. Look at how many times Cody Rhodes. He was the head of AEW. Yeah. Now he's with WWE.
Yeah.
How many times has Hogan been on bad terms with Vince? And Vince would always bring him back.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a single person out there that they'll say no to.
Look at what happened shutting down WCW and mocking it. And then everybody just went over.
Eric Bischoff.
Because, like I was saying, in the beginning, it's or like Jay was saying, it's business.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, the number one thing is to make money.
And Punk makes
How
money.
am I going? Where am I going? Go ahead, Jay.
I was just agreeing. Punk makes money, and you do what you have to get the money in until things get so bad, and then use that angle to get rid of them and make more money.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And make as much money as you can for as long as it lasts. Get out without, life-altering injuries if you can. And, he's still a young man.
Mm-hmm.
He's still very young. Was he 40?
Yeah, early 40s, I think.
Yeah, still very young. He can still wrestle. I think he can still wrestle. Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting. I don't know. Is there anything we have not mentioned that you guys would like to drop?
Not really. I'm interested to see where this is going to go, because it's nice to, whether it's positive or negative, see people like talking about it again instead of just it being the same old shit. Like Roman Reigns, who's he going to fight now? Or we're wondering about what the Usos are going to do and stuff like that. It's breathed in like new life and conversation when it comes to at least WWE. And now what's good is AEW's got to have a fire lit under them now to keep themselves relevant and going. And I think that's a good thing, because you need that competition. Because if there is no competition, WWE is just going to get stale again. And AEW, if WWE was stale, then AEW would kind of have no motivation to get better.
And AEW, we should mention that AEW had an event last night too.
Mm-hmm.
And they took a big hit. Like nobody's talking about that event.
Right.
Last night. You feel a little, I feel bad. I feel bad because I think competition is always a healthy, component. It's capitalism. Good, healthy capitalistic system thrives on healthy competition.
Competition is good, but you don't compete on the same nights.
Yeah.
You're going to lose. That we've got two organizations here in town. They used to run like on the second, and the other one's the third Saturday month. Well, the one decided they wanted to go head to head, and one show now draws 500 people. The other one draws 50. So it's like, competition is good, but you have to know where to compete too.
You also have that blind loyalty. A lot of people who, let's just say it's AEW versus WWE on the same night. You'll have that one fan that just hates and complains on Twitter about how much they hate WWE, but they've been watching it for 20 years. They'll still have that one on the TV.
Yeah. It's a hell of a thing. But I'll be there. I guess if my dad doesn't know I'm coming over because I missed the Eagles game tonight.
You just got to show up and knock on the door.
I got a bit of a show up with a big bowl of popcorn. All right, move over. Because I picked up a bit of a flu over the holiday weekend, so I'm just shaking the tail end of it. I was supposed to go over and watch the Eagles game, which actually went into overtime. They ended up winning. But I didn't make it. I just kind of sprawled on the couch, but I'll be over there tomorrow. Jay, is there anything that we did not? I heard, I know that dinner is on the table. I did catch that. I don't want to dime you out, but if you got to get out of here.
I've been telling her all day long, 7 o'clock, my time. And then she's like, dinner's ready. I told you 7 o'clock. So I'm in no rush, but.
Okay. All right. Is there anything that we should, that you wanted to add that we didn't get into here?
I mean, I thought one of the high points last night was the trash can.
The pay-per-view in general. We didn't even talk about that.
That was a gimmick, and she is so stupid. She's gonna kill herself with that. and then the Randy Orton, RKO from the top is like he just barely caught that. I mean, I don't know if it's just a little ring rust or it's just so hard, but he pretty much put his hands on top of was it McDonald, or as he hit the mat.
Yeah.
And McDonald, every time I see his face, I think he's an overgrown hornswoggle.
Yeah.
She's like
him. It is a near, I can't imagine the type of timing you would have to have on something like that.
Yeah.
You would have to almost let him hit you and then sort of, or like, I don't know if you move before he moves or you wait until he moves. or you move when he makes contact, some initial, like the lightest touch kind of contact kind of thing. That was what we saw. I think actually was something quite great because he made it look relatively easy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had a hard enough time doing it off the, somebody off the top turnbuckle.
Yeah. These kids that we see on Twitter doing it to their little brother in the pool, or that one guy who has the girlfriend that'll let them do it. It's not the same thing,
Right.
And so, that was actually quite great. Considering he hadn't wrestled in 18 months and his first RKO is a guy off the top of a steel cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like back fusion surgery or something like that, I think Cole said.
Jesus.
Yeah, and that's what I mean about the life-altering injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of shit. And you're like, God damn. I have a friend of mine, he's going in for neck surgery on Thursday, and he showed us the picture of what like his neck will actually look like. And it's like somebody just launched these like enormously ugly staples like into his neck, and you're just like, oh God.
One of our wrestlers, Moondog Rover, last year I worked a match with him, and on the way home he wasn't feeling well, and his wife took him to the hospital, and he had to have a triple bypass after working a match. He was out for a couple months, came back. Then got bit by a spider and was in the hospital for a couple of days with cellulitis, came back. And 2 months ago, they told him he had to have 3 cervical vertebrae fused. If he moved the wrong way, he could be paralyzed the rest of his life. So he was a big story angle. He did a match that night where he got carried through it. He didn't do a whole lot. Had the surgery, was out for like 3 months, and said, I want to do one more match. So I got 37 years in. And he came in, took off his neck brace, and we're all like,
oh God.
He did a little bit more than he should, but it was a street fight where he as a moondog, he uses a bone.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And he told the promoter, I'd like to come back maybe in a year. And the promoter said, no. You can love this business so much that you end up hurting yourself. And he said, I don't want to be involved with that, and I don't want to take the liability. So from now on, you're an agent. We're paying you to stay here and help the boys figure out what to do.
That,
so like some of these guys just don't know when to stop.
I don't think I think there are a lot of people out there that they don't know how to do anything else.
They've done it for so long. Like Jay just said, the guy was doing it for 37 years.
Yeah, so what is he, almost 60? He's got to be almost 60 at that point. I hate to say because it's not like cast in iron, but sometimes it's a little too late to start over.
Mm-hmm.
What's he going to do? He doesn't know how to do anything else.
Well,
it's like Flair.
He's a truck driver. He's a full-time truck driver, so he's got income in, but it's just he loves the business, and he's
got to be around it.
The number one face in the business, so he sells out so much merch. So he's gonna be still there, making everybody happy in a different way.
Well, good.
I saw a little bit of Flair. Go ahead, Marty. I'm sorry.
No, I just on what you were saying years back. I remember I was playing one of the old fucking SmackDown video games for the PlayStation. And a friend of mine with me, who's a big fucking wrestling head, and they had the intro come on, and my friend Killian was like, dead, paralyzed, dead, fucking suicide, dead. And I go, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
It's like, I have the utmost respect, but fucking most of all pity for some fucking wrestlers, because Jesus Christ, the stuff they have to go through, and then you have arseholes going, oh, it's only fucking acted. That's real fucking.
Yeah.
They're stuntmen. They're professional fucking stunt and sports people.
Mm-hmm.
And that toll that it takes, Jesus.
Yeah.
There's as much as and that makes me realize, what my complaints have been about, or I wouldn't deem them invalid, but I think the tone of the business, especially, under Triple H, changed because of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the deaths and the drug abuse and the alcoholism and the CTE, and those sorts of things. And people at the end of the day, I'm not a fan necessarily, but I understand. You can't have it. That has to be the highest priority. The health of your athlete has to be the highest priority.
As bad as it sounds, I think that's the best thing to come out of the Chris Benoit situation is now they're looking towards the brain damage and banning a lot of damaging moves to the skull, to the neck, and anything like that, because they don't want this to happen again.
The chair shots, the tables, those old ECW matches with the Dudley Boys used to just be blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit. I mean, just the things that went on in regular house matches in ECW, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, not even TV matches, yeah.
No, the old Masato Tanaka matches, the Mike Awesome matches, the Just Incredible matches, Tommy Dreamer.
Mike, fucking The Undertaker versus Mankind on top of the fucking cage. How did no one fucking die? I mean, seriously, fucking, I'm amazed.
Plain and simple, it was luck.
Yeah, the grace of God.
Yep.
The grace of God. What's that say? God protects fools and drunks.
No.
That's why we're still here.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Yep. Still smiling.
I don't drink, so I guess that's
process of elimination.
Yes.
So I mean, yeah, it wasn't a bad pay-per-view. I liked the first one. I didn't care about what's that one guy? The guy that fought Dragon Lee.
Yeah, Escobar.
Yeah, I got no feeling about him. And I really got no feeling about, like, in the main event, the heels. Mm-hmm. The only person I really cared about was Dom Mysterio.
Yeah, I love Dom.
He's just such a great heel.
Yeah,
he's just Dominic. Such a little weasel. And he's just such. I think he's the best heel in the WWE.
That is when Seth Rollins was good. Like you were not watching WWE at the times when Seth Rollins first won the belt, and he was like this weasel hiding behind the back, of his bodyguards to protect his title. He is like Dominic Mysterio. Just Dominic doesn't have the belt. So, and that's what I even texted you like last night. I said Dominic's he's such a little shit, but I love him. Because he knows how to make everyone hate him.
Yeah,
and
it comes naturally.
Because he's such a buffoon. He's probably not even 200 pounds, but he's acting like because he was arrested one time last year, that now he's like this prison thug.
Yeah.
And I love how he's always hiding behind Rhea Ripley. He's starting shit. She comes in. And like the schoolyard bully, you know what I mean? He's looking over her shoulder, blowing kisses and stuff like that, telling people to egg it on, but they have to go through her. That's the type of shit I like. You know what I mean? That's the type of heel that, you're laughing at him. You don't want him to get hurt, but when someone beats the crap out of him, you're happy too.
Yeah. And like when his dad whipped his ass with that belt.
Yes.
I was like, yeah, let him have it. And his mom's like cheering him on, getting his ass beat. I'm like, yeah, this is fucking great.
He's not hiding behind Ripley. He's just enjoying the view.
Yeah. Good Lord. How the fuck did he draw that card? You get to be your boyfriend. Really? Okay, you're gonna pay me.
I'm sure Dad had some saying in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you lucky bastard. I hope that fucking. I hope this storyline never fucking ends. Who else? I mean, who was there that night? I didn't care that much necessarily about what was this, Salazar or
Escobar and
Escobar, yeah. I'm like, who cares? And, the Gunther match, like I said, Gunther, he's good. I don't feel that they know what to do with Gunther, though.
I don't think he has enough of a personality. That's the problem. You know what I mean? He's the type of wrestler you and I like, Mike. Just show up, beat the shit out of each other, then go home. You know what I mean?
They should pair him up with somebody who makes fun of him.
Mm-hmm.
You
he needs to be the straight. He needs to be the straight man.
Yeah,
like goofy.
Yeah, or even if you were to put him in there with The Rock, like The Rock knew how to make fun of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And not just like the way he always made fun of the Big Show. Like the Big Show never had a great personality.
Like the perfect example is when you had William Regal, this British snob, and you put him together with Tajiri, this crazy guy from Japan. You know what I mean? And they had perfect chemistry. Or Booker T and Goldust. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. That was one of the best of all time.
You had the straight man in Booker T, but Goldust was just so crazy and over the top. He was able to bring that comedy out of Booker T.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just by the contrast.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on a second. We've got Shaitawan Zohir. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. First time visitor, I believe. Says CM Punk is the GOAT. Is CM Punk going to go down as that's a relevant question because you hear a lot about that, especially from Punk fans. And his thing, best in the world. That's kind of his line. Is he will he go down as one of the GOATs? I mean, can you separate him from the drama in terms of his performance and say, wow, this guy is really, he is.
Oh, you definitely. I mean, look at all the stuff Flair's done behind the scenes, or Austin's caused his fair share of trouble too. If you did the Mount Rushmore, though, I don't think he would belong on it because you have just so many bigger GOATs than him.
He's got a long way to go.
He's got a long way to go to be even a Stone Cold. You know what I mean?
Is he one of the best? I'll get a round robin on everybody. Let's start with Marty, and then is he one of the best today?
He can definitely talk the talk, and he's
great on the mic.
Kind of walk the walk. I mean, when it comes to showmanship, I think he's fucking second to none. But in kind of regards,
just in today's generation, not of all time, Marty. Just in terms of today and what's going on in wrestling today, is he one of the best, or is he the best?
Yeah, I'd put him up there. I'd put him up there. I'd put him up there. I think I would. Yeah.
I'd put him over Rollins.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely more charisma than Rollins. Definitely.
I put my Uncle Frank over Rollins. He's 75. So he's a retired mechanic, and he still drives. I'd put my Uncle Frank over Rollins. But all right, so Jay, what do you got? Is he one of the best going today?
I think it's questionable. I think he could be if he can just control his mouth a little bit.
Okay.
If he has the opportunity, he can be. But if he throws that opportunity away, I think everybody would just forget him real quick.
See, here's the thing, and for me, I'm just reacting to your reaction. It's the mic skills, I think, that are so controversial that also help to put him over because he combines the personal with, the work, and so he'll tell you something about what's going on in the locker room or this, or you see him and, and you're just like, holy shit, he's just ripping this fucking guy to pieces. But there's so much truth in there. You could see why when he walks back there, everybody's going to be like, what the fuck did you just, what was that?
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword. Eric, what do you got?
At the moment, possibly. It's hard to say because he is his own worst enemy, and he is in the ring. He is great. You know what I mean? And he has been for decades. The thing is, people focus more on what is he going to say than to how is he going to back it up, which is a good thing. I mean, look at Hogan. Hogan got by on his charisma more so than his in-ring ability. The problem is Punk has better in-ring ability than Hogan does, or at least what we were able to see. If you see that shit that Hogan could do in Japan, wow, that stuff is really cool.
Yeah.
But I think so. It's at the moment, because who can you really think of in WWE that is even worth talking about at the moment, other than Cody? And that's because Cody just came back from that big injury.
This was kind of the point that I had, in that the talent pool seems so diluted these days in today's modern wrestling in terms of the guys. I think this is a great time right now for female wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are seeing the rise of extraordinary athleticism from these women nowadays who are, and Eric and I are always lamenting the loss of the Stacy Keeblers and the Francines and the Tori Wilsons and so on and so forth. But we're also getting a corresponding jump in the super athletic women.
And that's the one good thing about the women usually always going on first, because now they have to set the tone and they have something to prove. And it's going to be one of those, okay, follow that, boys. You know what I mean?
You're seeing the inclusion of Asian women. Something we usually don't see.
I'm loving the fucking push. It's kind of a take from the kind of New Japan kind of wrestling thing of the female Asian wrestling. Look, hey, what guy isn't going to like two fucking Asian tricks rolling around on top of each other in a fucking ring? But like at the same time, those women have skill.
Mhm.
They have fucking skill,
Yeah.
and they can fucking play just as hard
Yeah.
as the boys. So yeah, you got to give them props for
Yeah,
that.
That's one
absolutely.
thing. That's one thing that's good
Yeah.
about female wrestling nowadays is we had, in the 80s, we had badasses like Sherry Martel and this and that who, they were
Yeah.
attractive, but they were more so show up, beat the shit out of you. And then
Yeah.
we had that time in the 90s when it was Vince Russo and they were hired for their looks and not their talent.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
Lita and Trish Stratus, notwithstanding. But now
I think that's how it started out with Trish Stratus, though, didn't it?
Mm,
If I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
she was in a couple of brand antis matches for fucking sure, man.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
Tori Wilson was hired because she was pretty. Stacy Keibler was
Right.
hired because she was pretty. But then now you have the ones that look good, but you know what? They can still kick a lot of ass.
Yeah.
Those women
Yeah.
in that cage match last night, when Io Sky was just backhanding people in the face with that garbage can lid, you felt that, and that's like when you feel the chop, you know what I mean, to someone's chest, and
Yeah,
that's good, that makes you like. I couldn't tell you how many times I yelled, "Oh shit!" during that match from just like something air quotes simple as being hit with an aluminum garbage can lid. You know what I mean?
I thought
don't get me wrong. There's plenty of fantastic looking fucking skilled wrestler. I mean, there's plenty of guys out there who would love to be executed by having Rhea Ripley crush their fucking head with her fucking ties. Like, so.
Yeah. I saw this thing the other day where Ripley signed an autograph and then she licked it.
Yep.
And it ended up selling for like $600. Her autograph that she licked ended up selling for like $586.
Yeah, and then
She's like, I know what my fans want.
Exactly.
She knows what the fans want.
And that makes those characters fun. You know what I mean?
As much as we are, constantly on about Ripley, deservedly so, I think she might be the best of all the female wrestlers out there.
I think so, yeah.
Those other women up there are they're top notch now. But coming back to the question of Rollins being one of the best today, I'm going to say that he is, because with the corresponding rise of the women, I don't know anybody that really does. I mean, except for Brock.
Yeah.
And Brock's been around for 20 years, and he just smashes people. It's like the Hulk. The Hulk comes out and he smashes somebody, and then there's nobody else. Dom Mysterio, but I mean, he's not even his dad.
Dom is good, but he's always going to be, whether you like it or not, I hate to say, he's always going to be like a comedy wrestler. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's going to be like an Eddie. He's going to be like an Eddie Guerrero, a smart ass guy.
I don't think he's nearly as good as Eddie. I mean, Eddie had. I mean, those old RVD matches, the old Jerry Lynn matches, the old, Eddie against anybody kinds of matches. But yeah, I'm going to say right now he is one of the best out there. Mixing the mic, which causes him a lot of heat, but then with ability too, because it's kind of a bleak time for me. Jay, do you know anybody? I mean, who right now for you is the best that you're watching just across the board, across promotions in wrestling right now? Male wrestlers.
I mean, I really don't watch wrestling that much anymore because it's sort of stale and boring a lot of times. So
yeah, okay, fair enough. Eric?
Honestly, off the top of my head, if we're talking male wrestlers, I'm going with Dominic because you know what? He's fun. You know what? He's fun. I'm a sucker for a shit talking heel who can get his ass kicked. Like he's got the right type of heat. He's not like the Miz where I want to go make a sandwich or turn the channel or go to the bathroom when he's on. I don't like him. He's like X-Pac. You know what I mean? X-Pac was there and you couldn't stand him. Dominic, he's got that perfect. I just want to punch him in his face, but he still makes me laugh.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Marty, anybody?
I'm kind of like with Jay. It's like the thing with CM Punk is it's shaking up the kind of the landscape a wee bit, but like it's and again, the main kind of my main attention seems to be a lot of the Japanese wrestlers, the female Japanese wrestlers. Again, they're cute looking chicks, but they're also fucking awesome fucking wrestlers, and that seems to be the draw for me. Like
they bring a sort of manic demeanor It's a little crazed. It's a little crazed in that Japanese style, which you appreciate because it's a little off-putting. Especially, when you see them cut a promo and it's in Japanese, you're like, fuck, she's crazy. Okay, no problem.
One thing I'll say this, we've all pretty much admitted that it's kind of stale right now. I think with Punk showing up, and if he's got any heat with anyone specifically in the background or in backstage, this will be their motivation to push it harder. You know what I mean? I'm not going to let this guy show up, take my spot, and show me up. So I think that's also a good thing that a lot of people might not realize. It's also going to motivate them. Maybe Seth Rollins will quit goofing around and take himself seriously and try to put himself forth as a serious wrestler because he does have talent. The problem is he's just now being a goofball.
Well, I think he felt that his position is assured.
Safe.
So you could sit there for 10 minutes and listen to the crowd sing that stupid song instead of actually doing some fucking wrestling. Like, I'm not there to watch 20,000 people hum the same fucking chorus over and over and over. What the hell is that? So yeah, get off your lazy ass and do something. This is the only reason I have the Peacock channel is just to watch this. So let's hope some good comes out of it. I mean, and that it lasts because that's the one thing that the AEW they've got a very raw thing going on there, and sometimes raw is good.
Yeah.
Okay. CM Punk brings numbers wherever he goes. In-ring ability is definitely mid, but the mic skills, he's definitely a top 5 of all time. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. I think that's as good a place as any to bring this to a close. I thank you all for joining me for this impromptu stream. Jay, why don't you tell people where they can find your refereeing skills, where you never see a fucking thing and you're always getting knocked out, and
the last show
it's bad work.
The last show I got knocked out twice, and the show before that 3 times. Like, these guys
not
are
right, Jay. It's not
me.
right.
Next Saturday at the Farmington Coliseum, Dynamo Pro Wrestling, and the following Saturday at the Broadway South Broadway Athletic Club, MMWA Wrestling, and we have a slaughterhouse match with a mask versus hair stipulation.
Very cool.
Okay. I'll add one last thing. I thought it was cool that Cody Rhodes pulled out the bull rope.
Yeah, for his
He didn't do anything with it, but
so cool.
It was nice. It was nice to see. I saw his dad wrestle Ivan Koloff once when I was about 14, and it was really fucking cool in Charleston, South Carolina. That was really cool. Eric, what do you got going on with you? Tell us something about your channel.
YouTube channel. Hey, Internet Eric here. The only thing I really have planned is this coming Saturday, as of this recording, December 2nd, 8:30 Central Time PM. I'm actually going to be interviewing someone for my channel again. This time it'll be podcaster Derek Hoover from the Yesterday's podcast. And what Yesterday's podcast is basically, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, they have a specific subject that they talk about for 90 minutes, go off on tangents. It's very funny, very adult-oriented. They've done things like Mask. They've talked about they're going to talk about since holidays are coming up, they're going to talk about the craze of like Tickle Me Elmo and the Cabbage Patch Kids. If you've seen all those videos of the mothers going crazy and trampling their kids. And since we're talking wrestling, they even did an episode on the Hulk Hogan cartoon, Rock and Wrestling from the 80s. It's going to be fun. Me and him are just going to sit down, bullshit about growing up and some failures and successes with our children, introducing them to stuff that we've grown up with, because there's a lot of stuff I've introduced to my daughter that she loved and a lot of stuff I've just failed with. So it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time bullshitting.
All right. Sounds good. Marty, tell us about the Trash
I'm
Picture
on
Show.
beautiful hiatus at the moment, and I need to apologize, Derek. Some stuff came up, but hopefully I'm going to be back up and running by mid-December, and maybe if Eric can forgive me and not fucking throw a table at me, we can do a discussion, and Mike's going to be cringing. We can do a discussion on why the Alien vs. Predator movies don't suck as much as you might think.
Absolutely. We're going to get that done.
Any shred of credibility I had with Mike is gone now. Down the fucking toilet. You just hear the toilet flushing noise.
It's okay. You're still above Ryan and John. Don't worry.
Yeah. Don't worry about that. Yeah, you're still good. Yeah, there's the bottom always has a basement. Don't worry about it. It's still better than why does Harley Quinn always scissor in your videos or something like that? It's just your usual topics of conversation. So that's interesting stop motion you've got working there, Morty. So
it's a talent.
Yeah. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody can do it. But thank you. No bullshit. Thank you for joining me. I hope, and I say this to Jay also, that we have an opportunity. Perhaps something will happen where perhaps we can put something impromptu together discussing wrestling before Christmas. But if I don't, Feliz Navidad and all that, we still have a little under a month. So there's still a lot that can happen with this situation.
Right before Christmas, the Iron Claw movie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're on for the Iron Claw. We are on. And Marty, you're welcome to join that. The Iron Claw, about the movie about the Von Erich family. That looks to be really fucking good.
May 24.
So we'll be there to discuss that. We'll definitely set that up. So I'll see everybody again. I'm happy about that. Marty, please join us for that if you get an opportunity to watch it. For this channel, I will be there on Friday. And I will be interviewing Toshi Asaka once again, who is a Japanese film director who specializes in samurai films. And he's out there in Tokyo, and he just did another movie that's now available on Amazon Prime called Koto, the woman samurai, which is the true story of a female samurai in the time of the Meiji Restoration and the end of the samurai era during that last samurai type of time. So he's done that movie, and I'm looking forward to having him back. He's been on 2 or 3 times before. And then next week, get out of here, you stupid cat. And then next week, I will be there, start kicking off our Christmas theme, which is basically themed, I'm having a rough Christmas. So there's going to be lots of fun with that. We've got Jingle All the Way coming up. Jay, you're always welcome to join any of these. We've got Invasion USA with Chuck Norris, because we've never done it. We've never done a Chuck Norris movie, and I am sadly remiss about that. We've got Batman Returns, Tim Burton's Batman Returns, and, of course, the main focus, which was always the original Christmas movie this year. We're going to do Richard Donner's Lethal Weapon. So we've got a lot going on, and not to mention what else is going on in the world. We may be doing some impromptu stuff. Lots going on. So my thanks to everybody. Marty, do you want to see Punk? I can play the video as we close out one more time and then just go to the outro. Do you want to see Punk enter at the end of the pay-per-view last night? Because I've got the video on.
I'll check it out. I'll check out the whole thing. I'll track down the whole thing. Whatever suits you, something.
Okay, all right. So you're going to check it out on your own. All right, no problem.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, thanks. Yeah, man. Thanks to everybody in the chat, and we will see you all in the next video. All right, get out there and watch some Raw tomorrow night. Have a good one, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.